This is 91.3 FM, WCUW in Worcester, Massachusetts, the Dr. Chris Radio of Horror program. And tonight, me and Sophie are
Hi.
interviewing Curtis Lawson, the artist and writer of Mestima, as well as Wronghouse, a couple of horror comics, and he's also a native of Massachusetts himself, as we are. Thank you for coming on the show with us, Curtis.
Thank you for having me.
Curtis, for anyone not familiar with your work, give a brief description of what Mestima and Wronghouse are about.
Well, Mystima is just kind of a dark fantasy story that really spawned from a couple of D&D sessions that I played with some friends. It's about a holy knight who kind of got taken by this evil sorceress, and she merged him with a demon, and now he's this infernally powered mercenary. And the story in that graphic novel is about the demon that she merged him with coming back after both of them, and they have to work together so that they don't get destroyed by this demon. But Mystima doesn't really care for her that much, so there's some tension there, and she kind of sees herself as his mother and lover all at once. There's kind of there's some fun tension there. And then the Wronghouse is, it's hard to talk about without giving too much away, but I wanted to do something like kind of an 80s slasher flick in a comic form. So it's about these three kids on Halloween night, and they're getting chased through these woods around this cabin by some maniac, and it's all told in a non-linear fashion, and you have a big kind of twist at the end.
Yeah, that twist really kind of freaked me out. I won't give it away, but that was kind of pretty incredible. I wanted to reread it like 4 more times after that to kind of grasp my head around what had just gone on in that. Good book.
Yeah, actually, out of everything I've done, I've probably gotten the best feedback from the Wronghouse. A couple of years ago, some small production company optioned it for film, but it never went anywhere.
Oh.
Wow, that would have been kind of cool. Who would you like to have seen play your characters for actors?
I haven't really given it much thought. The problem with the character of Jesse, the kind of killer guy in there, I always, he's big. I always picture like some wrestler kind of guy, Triple H or something like that, but I don't know how well it really acts. I guess it's hard, The teenagers, I never really gave it much thought about who could act them, but
What were some of the influences growing up to make you want to create your own comics?
Probably when I was about 11 or 12, I started collecting those like 90s Marvel cards that they sold at the convenience store, and that really got me interested in comics. And then I started reading, X-Force and Infinity Gauntlet and all that Marvel stuff. And then Image came around, and I got all into that. And I kept reading comics my whole life. I kind of veered away and did music for a lot of years and played in metal and punk bands and stuff. But
What band? What were some? Do you remember the names of some of these bands?
Yeah, I was in a band called Cruelty Divine. It was like a black metal band, and we played Milwaukee Metal Fest one year. We made an EP that was supposed to be released by some label whose name I forget that went out of business before they put it out. And then I was in a kind of a punk metal band called The Vengeful and Godless. But after that band broke up, I kind of got sick of music and sick of the dynamic, not sick of music, sick of being in a band, really, and the dynamic of all the drama of dealing with those other people so closely. So I decided I was going to try to do comics since I had always loved them.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic thing that you can. I mean, I imagine that's very different. You can do it on your own, and you can still collaborate with people, but it's a very different kind of atmosphere, especially like with these two that you wrote and illustrated them both. That's a lot of pressure for yourself, but it's cool to have to totally produce something of.
Yeah, it's really cool. And, I actually didn't illustrate these. I did some of the lettering and stuff. I didn't draw any of the stuff.
Oh, apologies, yeah.
But the guy who did The Wrong House is an artist. He's named Kay. And he's from somewhere in Eastern Europe. I forget where. But, you know, he was really cool to work with. And then Nico Leone is the guy who drew the inside art for Mystima, and Angela Velez did the colors. Nico's now working for Marvel. He's doing Guardians 3000 for Marvel, and Angel actually painted the cover for my book, The Devoured. So,
wow.
I've kept in contact with them, and you know, I've made a lot of really good friends doing comics. So.
Yeah.
Wow. So he went from an independent book to Marvel Comics. That's a pretty big leap.
Yeah, well, Mystima was the first book he ever did. He was still in art school, and then me and him did some stuff where, you know, we pitched some stuff to Image and such, didn't get picked up, and he didn't want to go with a small publisher, so he just took like a year and a half, and every week he'd send Marvel 5 pages, until they eventually gave him a job.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of thought I maybe recognized some of that. I was like, where have I seen this before? Now you also written some books too, right?
Yeah, well, I just wrote my first novel, so I've done some short stories and stuff. Nothing that's out yet. I did a short story for Beware the Dark magazine called The Book of Echo. I don't know when that's actually going to come out. It's going to be in the final issue of Beware the Dark magazine, though. And then I've written a book for Winlock Press called The Devoured, and that's my first real long-form prose. And it's up on Smashwords now. It should be on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles and everything next week. And then it'll be in print in about a month or so.
So when did you begin all of these projects? I mean, when did you begin writing comics? Did you have a first one that you'd done, you know, years back in your childhood, or did it really start at that certain point after you left the band that you were playing in?
I had tried a little bit in high school, but I didn't know any artists who could really draw, and it never really went anywhere.
Yeah.
So the first one I did, the first comic script I wrote was probably 9 years ago or so, and it was this kind of crime comic that I had called Faceless at the time, and that actually kind of morphed into a web comic I did called Curse of the Black Terror. I rewrote it, and that's using a public domain character, the superhero from like the 1930s called the Black Terror, and I kind of reimagined what his legacy would be. That was the first real script that I wrote. The first thing I ever published, though, was a comic called Kincaid, which was about this heroin addict who finds out that he's, you know, for lack of a better word, he's basically like a mutant and he has all these powers, but he's kind of a loser. He has to kind of get his life together because he's being hunted down by these secret agencies and stuff. And I did that with an artist named Mariano Lavshra, and he's actually, nowadays, he's drawing Doctor Who for Titan Comics.
Huh.
Wow. So you worked with some really big future talent. I mean, have you gotten to have you gotten into any mainstream projects yourself?
No, I did a mentorship with Mike Siglain, who's an editor at Disney, and he used to be an editor at DC. And, you know, I've learned a lot from him, but I haven't had a chance to do anything mainstream myself. I go to conventions, I hit up editors, but it's kind of harder when you're a writer, because if you're an artist, they can just look at your stuff and they can tell if you're good. If you're a writer, you know, they have to invest some time and really read it. So it's unfortunate. A lot of it is who you know, and hopefully with these guys I know now, I'll get some work in mainstream comics. But you know, for the time being, I'm happy to, you know, do my own stuff and just create.
Is there any conventions coming up you're going to go to?
I do a New York Comic Con every year. I'm trying to put together a panel or pitch a panel to the folks who run it, like a panel about Lovecraft and whether his racism and stuff affects his legacy. So I have a couple people who've agreed to be on that panel if it works out. Eric Manning, who's a writer, he does a lot of indie horror comics, Tales of Mystery, Nightmare World, and then James Chambers, he's a horror writer. He's done can't think of any of his books off the top of my head. But he's published like 4 or 5 books, and the folks at Avatar, which comic company that does this new book that Alan Moore is doing called Providence,
Yep.
which is Lovecraftian. They said they might be interested in doing the panel, so we'll see what happens.
That's cool. I haven't read Providence by Alan Moore. I read his Neonomicon, which was ridiculous. It started out kind of slow, and it was very like murder mystery investigation of a cult. And then like in the middle of this story, like the 2 FBI agents take this, like, infiltrate the cult, and they're about to get involved in this orgy, and it just takes this like skewering left turn into hell as they blow away the guy. The woman is thrust into the orgy against her will, and then the Dagon creatures come up, and it becomes this like hentai, very like graphic sex story where she's all like, "Oh, this creature is okay. I'll continue having sex with it." It's so over the top. It's the most disgusting thing with like the Dagon fish penis. Oh my god, it's insane.
Was this a comic?
Yes, with Alan Moore.
Wow. Okay.
It's called Neonomicon. It's effed
Neonomicon.
up.
Wow.
It
Okay.
actually got banned by a lot of libraries.
Oh my god, it's just insane. Again, it's just a regular crime book until they get to the sex orgy, and it's like this like hentai, just orgy rape party, and you're just like, holy crap, what the hell am I reading, Alan Moore? I'm Alan Moore, and this is how I do comics these days. That's how Alan Moore talks.
Obviously. Yes.
I mean, if you've read The Killing Joke, you kind of understand how much of a sick frick he is.
I haven't actually.
The Killing Joke is the Batman story where Joker shows up at Gordon's house and Barbara answers the door. Bam! Blows her away, undresses her, and then starts taking photographs of her while she's writhing on the floor, naked in a bullet wound, and then captures Gordon, locks him in a cell while he's naked too, by the way.
Then
And there's just
I'm
pictures.
not surprised by this orgy one.
Then they get into the story of the backstory of the Joker, and you actually get to learn the origin of the Joker for the first time. Yeah, it's kind of weird. And then him and Batman have a laugh at the end of the book. It's like the weirdest thing.
Wait,
the ending of The Killing Joke is probably one of the weirdest in comics.
It's so weird to
Yeah.
see Batman like sitting there, he's with the Joker, and he's like, "Oh, that was funny.
laughing
You're
now.
going to Arkham, and I should kill you for what you did to
Huh.
Barbara."
Oh.
Basically, also ending her career as Batgirl for many years until Gail Simone was just like, "Nope, her back's all fixed, bullet wounds healed. She has PTSD with doorbells, but she's good."
Curtis, quick question. Do you have a favorite superhero? Or supervillain?
Yeah, I think, I'm kind of torn out. I'm a big X-Men fan. I'm a huge X-Men fan. And probably Cyclops and Cable are my 2 favorites. Probably Cyclops, and I could get all nerdy about it and go on, but I just, he's this kid who started this when he was 16, and he's fighting for, not because he wants to, avenge some family member, or not for justice. He's really fighting for rights and survival, and he's been doing this since he was a kid.
Now he's the Phoenix in Secret Wars.
Yeah, and you get to see him go from kind of this Boy Scout kind of guy who wants to be a leader to being like the real leader of mutant kind and just being a total badass.
I don't know, Curtis. I mean, Cyclops is also kind of a D-bag. He killed Professor Xavier.
Yeah, but everybody in comics is kind of a D-bag. I mean, Scarlet Witch, how many mutants did she kill when she, no more mutants, and how many people died at that point? And I think, he was also possessed by the Phoenix Force when he killed Xavier.
Yeah, no, he's still kind of a D-bag in my opinion.
Oh, man. Get a little debate going on here.
I mean, he cheats on his wife in his mind with Emma Frost. I mean,
Yeah, that was kind of rough, especially, Did you sleep with Emma? No, we didn't sleep.
no, we slept in my head, by the way, which is basically the same thing because you're a psychic and the hormones come from the brain anyway.
Oh, man. This is rough here. No, I respect. I respect. I think your reasons for liking him. He's never been a favorite of mine, but that's intriguing. I at least want to know more about him after that description.
What's the comic you look forward to every month?
I've been a little bit behind. I've been reading on Marvel Unlimited, so I'm a couple months behind. But, like I said, I'm a huge X-Men fan, so I've been reading that. But the whole Secret Wars thing that's going on right now, kind of, I'm not really feeling it.
Okay.
So,
well, it's going to affect the Marvel Universe in big, big ways, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And, I don't know. I've been reading this stuff since 92 or something like that, so I just, I'm going to, anytime something changes, I'm going to complain for 2 months, and then I'm going to read it all like, a big nerd that I am.
I understand.
I really enjoyed Superior Spider-Man when that was going on.
Yep, that was interesting, the Octo-Spidey story arc.
Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. And, as far as other stuff that's going on right now, is not a ton of stuff that I'm really excited about with comics right now. I'm excited about Providence, which, that's Alan Moore's new thing, which is supposed to be more of an intellectual Lovecraftian story. So that's exciting to me. And then, that's about it right now.
Cool. Well, Curtis, why don't you give out your website so people can check out your works, and we appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, great talking to you.
Yeah. So you want me to give my website, you said?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, my website's curtismlawson.com. You can also find me on facebook.com/curtismlawson. And if anybody's interested in reading it, I have an exclusive short story that's kind of hidden on the Winlock Press site that's tied in with my upcoming novel, The Devoured. So if you go to winlockpress.com/Lawson, there's a hidden short story on there you can read.
Cool. Awesome.
Well, great. Looking forward to it. Thanks so much for talking.
Thanks for coming on the show with us.
Thank you for having me.
No problem, man.
Have a great night.
All right.